For decades, George Harrison was known as the quiet Beatle, the spiritual heart of the world's most famous band. Calm, introspective, and deeply talented, he was often seen as the peacemaker among the fiery personalities of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. But behind the scenes, not everyone in the music world shared that peaceful view of him. There was one man who, according to those close to both artists, utterly hated George Harrison. And now, after years of speculation, the real reason why has finally come to light. To understand the tension, we have to go back to the late 1960s when the Beatles were at the height of their fame. George Harrison was growing as a songwriter, contributing some of the band's most timeless songs like Something and Here Comes the Sun. But as his creative power rose, so did the friction with others in the industry. One of the most surprising sources of resentment came from another legendary musician, Eric Clapton, Harrison's close friend and collaborator. At first, their relationship seemed full of respect and mutual admiration. Both shared a passion for blues and Indian music, and Harrison even invited Clapton to play on the Beatles' iconic song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. But beneath that friendship lay a complicated emotional triangle, one that would eventually turn love, loyalty, and art into pain, betrayal, and lasting bitterness. The real source of the hatred wasn't music. It was love. Eric Clapton fell deeply in love with Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's wife at the time. Pattie, a model and muse of the 1960s, had inspired some of Harrison's most heartfelt songs. But she also became the center of Clapton's obsession. His love for her consumed him, driving him into depression and drug use. Clapton's classic hit Layla was a direct, desperate confession of his feelings for Pattie, even though she was still married to his best friend. When Harrison discovered the truth, it shattered their friendship. For years, the tension simmered behind closed doors. Though both men maintained public civility, those close to them said Harrison was deeply hurt, not only by the betrayal, but by the fact that it came from someone he considered a brother. And for Clapton, the guilt and jealousy slowly turned into resentment. He hated that Harrison seemed so calm, so forgiving, even when Clapton had torn his world apart. "George was too peaceful for me," Clapton once admitted. "It made me angrier because I couldn't break him." Eventually, the truth came out. Pattie left George and married Clapton in 1979, though that marriage too would end in heartbreak. Decades later, Pattie revealed that both men struggled with jealousy, ego, and the pressures of fame. "They loved each other like brothers," she said, "but they also hurt each other deeply." Despite the pain, time softened the bitterness. In the years before Harrison's death in 2001, he and Clapton reconciled. They worked together again, performing side by side as if the old wounds had finally healed. But the truth remained. For many years, the relationship between the two legends was defined by love, betrayal, and a resentment that neither fully escaped. When Clapton later spoke about George, his tone was filled with emotion and regret. "He was like a guardian to me," he said. "Even when I wronged him, he never stopped being kind." That simple statement revealed everything. The hate that once existed wasn't just about rivalry or jealousy. It was born out of love and the pain of losing something precious. Today, fans look back on their story not as a feud, but as a tragic reminder that even the greatest friendships can be tested by the complexities of the human heart. George Harrison's calm forgiveness contrasted sharply with Clapton's tortured guilt, creating one of rock's most emotional and human stories. In the end, the man who once utterly hated George Harrison came to love and respect him more than anyone else. And perhaps that's why the truth feels so heartbreaking. Because beneath the anger, there was always love that neither man could truly let go of.